Okay, hi folks. So, welcome. My name is Vicky. I am going to do a little tutorial today about how I prep a used canvas for acrylic paint pouring techniques and etc. So, in my last video, I talked about the three-dimensional work that I do. And I had painted this painting here. And while I really like this, and I had intended using it for three-dimensional piece once I cut this off for the dragonfly. If you go to my Instagram channel, you can see that the work that I do, like every piece is different. And I really felt like that painting was just too similar to the one that I had done with the butterfly. And so I decided that, well, then I was rummaging around. Let me check and make sure I'm live on YouTube. I was rummaging around in my cabinet, and I found that I have actually two. Let me turn off the sound. So I found that I actually have two dragonflies. And so what I've decided to do is use a large canvas. There is a technique that I've wanted to do that I haven't ever tried before, which is creating a paint pouring using techniques that I can create like a fantasy garden. And I can utilize actually both of these butterflies in that fantasy garden since I happen to have this huge canvas. As you can see, this huge canvas is already painted on. And so what I have done is I like to recycle things, and at the thrift store, you can often find these very large canvases for next to nothing compared to what it would be to actually buy a canvas of this size. Just to give you an idea, this canvas is a 25-inch by 50-inch. And on dickblick.com, you can get and it's a gallery wrap. This is a gallery wrap, as you can see here. Excuse me. On dickblick.com, a 24 by 48-inch gallery wrap canvas, new, is regularly $120. On there you can buy it for $75. I don't know about other artists, but I just don't personally have that kind of money. And I like to recycle things. Now, not every canvas that you get at the thrift store is a good canvas to use for multiple reasons. First being the bounce back of the canvas itself. A lot of canvases over time that, whatever, they become very loose, a loose wrap around the wood frame that it's in. And a loose wrap is just not going to look good. It's not going to hold up well in a pour. It's just not a good canvas to use. Other used canvases, whether they're painted canvases or printed canvases, will have a texture to them. Now, this one does have a very slight texture on it, but it's a texture that doesn't bother me at all. So that's one of the reasons why I purchased it. Other damage that can be in a canvas is you can have, I don't know if you can see over here, there's some scratches in the canvas here. these are superficial scratches, but sometimes you can get gouges and scratches and dents in your canvas, which will make it basically unusable. So, like I said, I got this canvas. One of the other things that I've noticed about purchasing used canvases is that there's two different types of canvases. Well, I'm sure there's more than that. But anyway, there's canvases that are like a fabric canvas, and then there's synthetic canvases. This is a fabric canvas. So I've noticed that when I paint pour on a fabric canvas, that when I first did this kind of reused canvas, I didn't have a problem. But then I learned a lesson. And I wasn't really aware of this, so I learned it the hard way. So I thought I'd share it with you. This is like a synthetic canvas. And the way that this canvas was printed on, what happened was when I poured on it, the ink from whatever was printed on the original print started to melt, basically, and then bleed through what I had poured. So I ended up just scraping everything off. I wish I would have seen it sooner, and I probably could have salvaged the canvas, but this canvas is just not salvageable. So that was a lesson that I learned. So I figured out a way to be able to salvage, I mean not salvage, but use canvases. Doesn't matter what kind of ink is printed, it's printed with. Doesn't matter if it's a fabric canvas or a synthetic canvas. So that's what I'm going to share with you guys today, because this is a canvas that I'm prepping to create my fantasy garden painting that I can turn into a three-dimensional piece with my dragonflies. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep the canvas a little bit with a very fine sandpaper. This is 220 grade. Okay, sandpaper. And I'm just going to give it a very light. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on it. This is just to get off any kind of, you know, you can feel the canvas. This one has probably paint splatters. I've had it here in the studio for so long. So I'm just going to give it a very light. If I press too hard, then I'm going to put marks, and you'll be able to see those kind of streaks in the work, whatever paint pour that I do, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to give this a very light. Maybe on the sides. I can feel all those little bumps that I felt on there are gone now. You know, dirt that might have gotten attached to it from being at the thrift store. These little, I realize you probably couldn't hear me. Dirt that might have gotten attached to it from the thrift store. Also, these scratches that are over here, I can kind of flatten those out a little more so they're not such a dent. Okay, I'm liking the way that that feels now. I don't feel any of those bumps that I felt previously. So now that I've used the sandpaper, of course, I need to take a damp cloth and just wash this down. Get any of the grit that was on here from the sandpaper off. Don't forget your sides. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to prep the paint that I'm going to use to recoat this. So this is what I've learned to do. So this is, let me get my glasses. This is Liquitex Basic Acrylic Gesso. Gesso is a thick white primer that seals, stiffens, and provides surface tooth, quote unquote, for painting surfaces. So what I discovered was I can use this gesso to prime my canvas. Now, I don't use it straight out of the bottle because, let me get my stir stick here, because as you can see, it's super thick. I mean, it doesn't even drop without shaking off of your toothpick. So here's I don't know how many ounce cup. How many ounce cup is this? Just to give you guys an idea. Okay, so that's a 16 ounce cup. I've put about an inch and a half of straight gesso in the bottom of the cup, and now I'm going to dilute it with my Floetrol. Now, this is a huge canvas. Like I said, this is a 25 inch by 50 inch canvas. So I'm probably going to need all of this to cover it. And I'm about an inch and a half from the top of my 16 ounce cup. So I'm just going to mix this up real well. I probably didn't even need this thickness. I can probably thin this out even more with some water. Let's just get this mixed up real well. We'll put a little bit of water in it. This is still pretty thick. It is super thick. Well, that helped a lot. Basically, what this primer coat is doing is just putting a layer between the old canvas and the new paint, so that the old canvas printing ink doesn't kind of bleed through, so that I can get a really nice primed surface from an old canvas. at a total cost, by refinishing this canvas, again, a 25-inch by 50-inch gallery wrap canvas, not on sale, is over $100. Between the gesso, the Floetrol, the used canvas, I can probably get myself a nice prepped canvas for painting for less than $20. Easy. Okay, good. So now you can see it's running off of my stick, nice and smooth. Okay. Now the other trick to this is by having the proper brush. I have found that the foam roller works great. You just don't want to press hard at all, because otherwise you're going to end up with lines in between your rolls. So it's a very, very light press. You get it all spread out, and you just keep going back and forth in all directions until it gets nice and evenly spread out. So I'm going to take this, I think I'll do 2 lines since this is a pretty wide canvas. One on each side. So we're going to do one here, come back around here. Okay, so my roller is not wet. The first time I did this, I made the mistake of getting the roller wet. And it took a lot longer to spread it out. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take my damp cloth and I'm just going to squeeze it on here to get it a little damp. All right, and let's start rolling. I'm going to get this all spread out. The roller is not even rolling. Probably have more paint on here than what I need, I think, for sure. It's supposed to just be a very thin, light coat. So I think I'm going to roll some of this off. Yeah, it's much more than what I needed. You should get, let me show you here in the middle, get it down to where the roller's actually rolling, because you want to get some of that texture in there as well. Okay. Welcome to my live video. So I'm going to roll off some of this paint, and I'm just going to continue the process. Then I will be showing you the canvas in the future once it's all dry and I'm ready to actually paint on it. But that's the process that I use to prep a used canvas for another painting. I appreciate you all joining me today. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. I will be sure to respond. Check out my Instagram at Vicky Shine Visuals, Vicky.shine.visuals. That's down in the description. Y'all have a great afternoon. Bye now.